So, welcome to this next Kalen Tech lesson where we continue with our building of the Transit ISP. We're still on the SRX, we're at the beginnings of this. So, in the last lesson, we created the routing instances and we placed them into some security policies. So, the problem with that is, of course, is that we're going to need free radius to contact the DNS server and vice versa. So the first thing is, can we ping the DNS server? So let's see if we can do that. So we know, let's remind ourselves of the IP address that we need to ping internally, not externally via the cloud, but internally via the SRX. So if we do an IPA, it's the one network. So it's 1.6. Okay, so we're going to ping that from free radius. So we're going to do ping 192.168.1.6. Okay, and we can't get it. And it comes back destination net unreachable because that routing isn't in the routing table that we need in here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to create some logical tunnels. We'll put those tunnels into the routing instances and we'll set the extra policies that we need and the static routes. Okay, it's not very complicated, so we'll just get on with this and we'll do it. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to set our interfaces. Now, the reason I'm using logical tunnel interfaces is from a security perspective, okay? So we have to place one end in one VR that we want and the other end in the separate VR or the routing instance, okay? So in this case, we're going to go from the DNS routing instance to the free radius routing instance and vice versa. So let's do that first. So we'll do set interfaces. LT dash and we'll do 000 and it's going to be unit 0 and the encapsulation type that we want is we want the encapsulation to be Ethernet. So we set that. Then we have to put our peer unit. So let's say this is going to be peer 0 and the other unit will be peer 1. Okay, so we can just go back to here and we'll do peer unit is going to be 1. And now we're going to set up our address for this. We'll stay on the one network, but we're obviously going to separate it into 30s. Okay, so again, we go back to unit 0 and we do our family inet address. And we're going to do 192.168.1. We'll do 1.9 on this end and give it a /30. Okay, so we'll commit that one first. So that's one end of the interface. And now we have to set the other end. So we do the same again, set interfaces. Now we're going to use the same physical interface, but logically we're going to use a separate unit. Okay, so we're going to create LT-000, but this time it's unit 1 encapsulation Ethernet. Okay, and we can use the up arrow again, and this time our peer unit is going to be 0. So we can do peer unit 0. And we want the corresponding IP address of the 30 range that we've just used. So if we do family inet address, and we'll call this one 192.168.1.10, which is the corresponding address in that /30 network, and we'll commit that one as well. And so the next step we need to do is we're going to place these interfaces in the security zones that we want them in. So the routing instances we want them in first. Okay, so we're going to set routing. So we'll set up, because I've spelt it wrong, my apologies, set routing in instance. And in this case, we'll put the 0 into DNS and the 1 into free radius. So let's go for DNS server, interface, LT-000.0. Okay, and then we're going to do set routing instances free radius interface LT-000.1. Okay, so now we've got each end in our required routing instance. Now, of course, we have to set them into our security zones. So we'll do a set security zone, security zone, and we called it DNS server. And we want to place in there our interface LT-000.0 because that's our DNS one. Okay, and now we want to do set security zones, security zone, free radius, interfaces LT-000.1, and we can commit that. And that is our interfaces set in the security zones. Now, what we have to do, and we have to understand this, is because we now have two interfaces in one zone. So we have the actual GE interface that will face the DNS in the DNS zone, but we also now have LT-000.0. So we have to now do a security policy from the same zone to the same zone so that it allows that communication between those two interfaces. Because although we've committed all that and you'd think that would work, if we go back to free radius and we try it again, it still does not work. So we'll go back to the London SRX. So we'll do set security policies, and our from zone is the initial one we'll do is free radius, and our to zone is also going to be free radius. Okay, and we'll give it a policy name, and let's call it something intuitive. Let's do free radius dash to free radius, and we're going to match on source address. Again, we're going to do the basics. So we can do an any policy again, any. Okay, and we want to match the destination address. So we'll do a match on destination address, and that's going to be an any. And we'll also do a match on the application, which will be any. Okay. So let's do an application any as well. And then we need to do a permit. So let's do a then permit. Okay, now we can commit the first one. So let's commit that one. And now we need to do the same for the DNS server. So let's do set security policies from zone DNS server to zone DNS server, and the policy can be called DNS to DNS match. Match. Source address is going to be any again. It's going to be an any again. Source dash address any. Then we can use the up arrow and we match the destination address is going to be any. And we'll use the up arrow again, and we'll do application any, then up arrow again, and we'll go back to the policy name and we'll do a then permit. So we press enter on that. So we've committed everything now. No, we haven't committed this one. So let's commit this one. And now let's go back and check our ping connectivity now. So we'll try it again now. We're still getting destination net unreachable, okay? Because what we have to do is we have to put a route in place as well, okay? Because we have to tell it where to go. You know, it's not going to know it by itself, but we have to do it within the routing instance, okay? So we have to look at if we said we started at the DNS and we wanted to go to the free radius, which we do, so we go to DNS and we know that it's 1.6, but it's a /30, so we know the network is actually 1.4/30. Okay, so what we need to do is go back to here, and we have to do it within our routing instance. So we do set routing instances, and we're going to do the DNS server first. We do DNS server. Now we can do our normal routing options that we would do without being in a routing instance or VR. If we were in the normal configuration. Okay, but we do this so it's applied to the routing instance. So we can do routing options, static route. Okay, and then we put in where we want to go. So we know that the free radius is on the one network. The 0. So the 1.0/30, i.e. a 1 and a 2 available addresses. Okay, so we simply do 192.168.1.0/30. Now the question is, where's our next hop? So the next hop has got to be the tunnel interface, but it's the far end of the tunnel interface. Okay, so we have to put the actual 192.168.1.10. Now that's the interface, the LT end that's in the free radius zone. Okay, so we do that way, and now we have to do the same the other way. Set routing options. Okay, and this time it's not set routing options. I'm doing it myself now. Set routing instances. So this one's going to be the free radius routing options static route, and we know that it's a 4 network going the other way. So we go 192.168.1.4/30, and this time it's going to be the next hop is going to be the DNS end, and we know that's 9. So we do 192.168.1.9, and we can enter that, and then we can commit that. Now let's see what happens if we ping from our free radius server this time. So now we have the communication. Okay, the address this end is 1.2. We know that. So if we do an IPA, so we have 192.168.1.2. Okay, so if we go to DNS, ping 192.168.1.2. So now we have our communication in both directions, and this will allow the DNS server to see the free radius. And obviously we're going to want the DNS to be able to see almost every device. But what we'll do is when we get further into this, we're going to change the let me show you what I mean. So if I do a run show conf display set, so all of these NEs that we have here and here and here, we're gonna create address books and address book entries, and we'll use those. Okay, but we'll do that in a later lesson. So if you have any questions about this lesson, please let me know. But I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.